Hi, this is Razor Wire, and today we're going to do a twin flame pick-a-pile. And we are using the Royo Tarot, the Fountain Tarot, Shadowscapes Tarot, and Spirit Animal Oracle. So we have three piles for you. And the first one, pile number one, is the Nebula stone. I don't know if you can see it. It's a pretty good stone. And the second pile, we have a seashell. And the final pile, we have an amethyst. So take a moment to decide which pile you want. And we will start with the Nebula stone. Let's see what we have here. And we're starting out with the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is about conflict, obstacles, irritations. These can be conflicts of the mind. These can be conflicts in your everyday life. But these are conflicts that are relatively easily resolved. So these aren't, lasting conflicts. They are more annoyances. It can also be competition. You could be in competition for someone, in a job situation, or you might feel like there is competition for your twin's attention. And whether that competition is in the form of another person, a karmic person, or just distractions. It could be that your twin always seems to be distracted with something on social media, that they seem to have time for everyone and everything else except for you. And then we have the Three of Swords. So there's a lot of tension in this pile so far. And the Three of Swords, it is about the separation and heartbreak and betrayal, but it can also be a sign that you're not trusting your own heart, that you're starting to question the journey, that you're starting to question your counterpart's intentions, that you maybe are seeing things on social media which are really triggering you, and you're starting to wonder if maybe you've misjudged your twin in some way. And the next card we have is the Nine of Wands, and that's more of that tension and that conflict and that struggle. But this card also represents, resolve and determination. This is somebody who really fights for what they believe in, and they're so close to obtaining it that they can't see it. It's like sometimes, it's too close, it's too personal, so you can't, see things objectively. It's really hard to have that higher perspective when you're dealing with everyday struggles. So right now it just feels like work. The journey just feels like work, and you might feel like there's no payoff, and you're starting to get frustrated. And then we have the Two of Coins, which is, we had several times yesterday in yesterday's Pick-A-Pile, but this is about alignment and balance and, figuring out, how to compromise, what's important, what you should prioritize, how to balance your time more effectively. So you're trying to bring in balance. Right now you're fighting, it looks like you're fighting everyone and everything. You're fighting with yourself, and you're fighting with your own health, your own heart. And it may be affecting your health, because stress does affect our health. So this is telling you to make sure that you're taking time for yourself, taking time to play, taking time to heal, to have fun, to unwind. And then we have the Temperance card, which is also about balance and patience and harmony and allowing things to take the time they need to take in order to grow and develop to their fullest possible potential. You can see in this Temperance card maybe, but there's like a light beaming down from heaven. So this person is blessed by heaven. Their tasks here, their journey, they're supported. They might not feel like it at the moment, but they are supported by heaven. So remember to seek within rather than without. So, if you're not feeling happy, if you're feeling, miserable, if you're feeling empty inside, seeking external validation is never going to give you that sense of completion or fullness or joy that you want. Happiness, it comes from inside. And then we've got the Hermit, which is going within, it's reflection, this is seeking within. You can see that this person has they're holding a lantern, and that light is like beaming up into space, and it's a very concentrated beam. So it's about focusing your attention instead of letting yourself be divided in all of these kind of petty ego disputes. To focus your attention on what you actually want. To focus within, in your heart center. To raise your vibration so you can send that signal to your twins, so that will haul them like a moth to a flame. Then we have the Empress, and in this deck the Empress is a bit more of a dominatrix type female. She's tough, and she's very assertive, and she knows what she wants. She's a little bit more like the Queen of Wands, I think, in this card. But the Empress does represent sensuality and fertility. Ordinarily, she is like a peacekeeper. She balances out the Emperor's ambition. She's kind of the heart behind it. And then we have the Four of Chalices here, which is about introspection, again, going within. It could be, you're starting to maybe distract yourself or numb your feelings. Things are, you're struggling right now, and, you're trying to find a way to kind of tune out of it, to kind of escape that pain. And then we have, for the Oracle card, this and that are true. And I'm going to read to you from the Oracle book. And we've got the Dolphin here. Dolphins are they're playful, and they're social and communicative. They work together in a team. They're never alone. A lot of people see it as, a sign on the twin flame journey, a sign of unity. Dolphin spirit. Like her earthly manifestation, it's a reminder of duality, which we saw in the Two of Coins. As the dolphin is both mammal and sea creature, so too is dolphin spirit, both this and that. Two truths coexist, the story you tell and another as well. So there's always a different perspective on, another side, your twin side of the story. The duality of life is present when we are suffering, for there is a blessing too in the helpers that appear within clouds or silver linings. When we later reflect on what happens, we can see that a situation was both this and that, and a choice led to both joy and sorrow. No relationship is either all good or all bad. And people have qualities of both light and shadow. Focus on the positive, for light exists alongside the darkness. And we saw that here with the Hermit card. He's standing in this really dark wilderness, but he has this really bright light shining out from him. So be your own light. Focus on the positive, for light exists alongside the darkness. Dolphin spirit calls for you to come up from below and enjoy a weightless moment in the sun as you dive in and out of this and then that, accepting and even enjoying the duality of life. Why not join dolphin spirits in acknowledging and affirming the blessings present in this moment? In all areas of your life, there are aspects of both this and that. Today you can celebrate this fact and recognize the complexity and the beauty of the fabric of the universe. You are at a place right now where your past self is still present, as you move toward the new self you are becoming. Aspects of both selves are present, so even if you want to say goodbye to what was, you are required to find solace in this between time. Today is not a day to choose one over another either, but rather to accept things as they are without judgment or resistance. Even in matters of the heart, duality is present. Your next action will be obvious when you drop your bias and see things as a whole. That was really powerful. It really related very well to the cards. So right now you are gaining that perspective. You are in this in-between place with the Two of Coins and the Temperance card, you know, in separation and all of that. You're in this in-between place of who you were and what you're becoming. Challenging. It's a challenging time for some of us on the journey. And there are times like that. Number 2, we've got the Shell, and that was about 1106. And the first card we have is the Knight of Wands, and you have this courageous, brave knight. He's passionate. He's, you know, dedicated to his cause. He listens to his, you know, instinct, to his intuition. You know, he's artistic. This could be a sign of travel or messages. And then we have the Nine of Swords, and this is anxiety and worry and sleepless nights and nightmares, you know, and just mental, just kind of stress and mental, like, agitation and fatigue. And then we have the Eight of Cups, and this is, you know, you're walking away from the superficial. You know, you're walking away from everything that you've known to go on this spiritual journey. You know, you're taking this huge leap of faith to move forward. You're leaving behind toxic, toxic habits. You know, perhaps relationships. You could be ending one relationship in order to move forward. You know, with your twin flame. You know, you're going on this spiritual journey, and that requires, you know, a lot of changes, a lot of, and it's not just external changes, but within you're making a lot of changes, and it may be difficult to recognize, you know, who you are becoming, and you may be afraid of that. You, like with this card, you might be a little bit afraid of what's going to happen, of the unknown, of who you're becoming on this journey. You know, if the journey is gonna take you where you want to go. And then we've got the Three of Wands here, and this is, again, it kind of goes in with the Knight of Wands. You know, it's about movement and gaining perspective and, you know, commitment to adventure and to the journey. You know, to wanting to see what you're made of, to see what you can do. You know, you're taking the reins here, taking the reins of your life. You want to see what happens next. And then we have the Knave of Swords. And the Knave of Swords is that, you know, impulsivity. You know, this is impulsivity, this is chaos, this is forward momentum, this is a little bit win at any cost. Whenever I see this card, I think of, you know, the knights, old-fashioned knights, or maybe even soldiers, where they sort of blindly adhere to a code, you know, to what their leader says, but they're not really thinking for themselves. They're just rushing ahead without thinking about the consequences of their actions, without questioning anything. And then we've got the Hermit. And the Hermit in this card is about loneliness, you know. Usually it's not, but in this one it is a bit about loneliness. You can see the reflection here, so you are mirroring each other. There might be some triggering going on. You know, as one of you rushes forward, you know, then the other may be shrinking away. And that can be, you know, if you rush forward and you don't have good intentions, you know, wanting the person to respond a certain way or to get a certain reaction, or you're trying to force your twin to wake up. So you're, you know, sending them all these messages about twin flames, or sending them all these subtle hints, or these, you know, passive aggressive messages to try to, you know, spark some more conversation. And so this is kind of about, you know, how that kind of thing can push them away. It can kind of push them into themselves when you do that. If you come at somebody for the wrong reasons. And then we have the sun here, and the sun is about nourishment and flourishing relationships and joy and happiness and positive outcomes, and it sort of negates some of the negative energy that you can see in the other cards here. So, you know, even if you have rushed forward to your twin recently and it hasn't gone that well, you know, this is saying they're going to forgive you. You know, even if you've made some mistakes along the way and you're stressed out about what that means for the journey, this is a reassurance that it is going to be okay, that there were lessons that you needed to learn, you know, on the path, so that you can, you know, reach that state of fulfillment. And then we have the Ace of Wands, which is passion and inspiration and, again, movement. This is a very fast, you know, fast-paced, impulsive sort of pile here. You know, you've got this light raining down on her, like divine inspiration, like she's kind of been struck, you know, by this epiphany, the sudden epiphany. And then you've got the Seven of Swords. And in this case, in this particular deck of cards, it's saying that you are stronger together than you are apart. You are stronger in a group. Stronger working together. Usually this card talks about sneakiness and, you know, ulterior motives and betrayal and stuff. But in this particular card, it talks more about working together rather than working counter. You know, that in the end you're going to get more out of working together than pushing your own agendas. And then we've got the Wasp Spirit, and I've read this several times recently, so I won't read from the book. But basically, sometimes life stings. You know, some lessons are difficult to learn, you know, but they are important for our growth and for our development. And sometimes it's hard to see how, when everything feels like it's going wrong, how that's, you know, helpful, how that's going to get us where we need to go. But it does. It makes us stronger. Yeah, it makes us stronger. Even wasps have a purpose. You know, they keep insect populations down. So it's saying even those dark parts of yourself that you don't want to accept, that scare you. You know, they too have another aspect, an aspect of light within them. You know, it's oftentimes, in fact, you know, those qualities which we don't necessarily like in ourselves, which are usually our greatest strengths. So keep that in mind when you're working on your self-improvement, that you don't, you know, try to change too much about yourself, because, or to push or repress too much about yourself, because you could be losing some of your greatest gifts. And at 1901, we've got the Amethyst, which is about clarity. And we've got the Ace, I'm not the Ace, but the King of Pentacles. And this is about security and strong foundations. This, you know, you have someone who is, you know, ambitious and career-oriented. They're a protector, a family man, a potential philanthropist in some cases. You know, this is somebody who builds things to last. You know, they build, they're building their castles out of stone, not out of sand. And then we've got the Four of Cups here. And this person is quite disillusioned with life. You can see, you know, they've got the cups beside them, but they just don't seem to be that interested. They've got these boxes beside them, but they haven't opened any of them. You know, this is that kind of, what's the point? You know, that sort of, that dejected energy where nothing seems like it's going that well, and you're kind of afraid of putting yourself out there. So you sort of, you know, numb yourself. And we've got the Six of Cups, and you have two children in here, and they're within this bubble, you know, and they're sharing a cup of union. And in this particular card, I think of this as referring to the twin flame journey, because it's an eternal bond, as you know, and you know, so the person coming back from the past represents your twin. You know, even if in this life you haven't really been together that much, you don't have much of a past, you have been in previous lives together. So this is about that person coming back, somebody from your past coming back into your life. In this case, your twin is coming back into your life. It's also about simple pleasure and joy and childhood innocence. And then we've got the Three of Wands, which is about preparedness, gaining perspective, movement, you know, forward momentum. And then we've got the Knave of Pentacles. You know, the Knave of Pentacles this is eventual positive outcomes. This is someone who's very grounded and stable and secure and is willing to put in the day-to-day work. And you might be feeling a little bit bored, honestly, with the day-to-day work. You know, that all the healing work, it can seem like it takes forever sometimes. You can get a little bit bored with that. So make sure to have a little bit of fun. And the Four of Swords, in this deck is also about loneliness. So you may be feeling kind of lonely, disillusioned, dejected. Oh, you know, is it ever going to happen? That kind of energy. You know, but it's also about taking a break to recharge, to recoup, to put your plans into fruition. You know, it takes time to build something that's going to last. And then we've got Panther Spirit, reclaim your power. So let's see what that says. We've got 44, which is war protection. It takes courage to face challenges, and right now Panther Spirit is here to say that you are braver than you think. Now is the time to take a risk and step into a different aspect of your being. Speak as you have never spoken before. Act as you have always dreamed you might have the courage to act. Love fearlessly and fully, and expect to feel the adrenaline rush as you are initiated into a new, braver, bolder self. Panther Spirit says the time for dreaming about what you want to do is giving way to that first courageous act toward reclaiming your Panther Spirit and power. Your new identity may feel strange at first, but you have what it takes, and your soul wants this. Be bold. So together with that, we can think that that you might be feeling a bit restless, a little bit bored with how things are. You've been doing the work for a while now and not seeing the results in the 3D. And this is saying that the time is coming. The time is coming to act. You know, you've been sort of in this energy of anticipation. You've been kind of gaining perspective. You've been, you know, building up your courage and the time, and you know, taking the time to rest and heal. And now is the time to make some changes, some real changes in your life, because you've been gaining clarity, and now you're ready to act from your heart space. So in this pile, it might be, you know, getting time to make that forward. You know, as long as it comes from, you know, a good place. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe.